Well, we interrupt the regular programming to go live right here in Tehran to the Foreign Ministry's press conference. Let's listen up, please.
Iranian nationals, a number of technicians and Iranian workers who were engaged at work in Iraq. At the same time, there are terrorist operations conducted in the past few days in Iraq. We condemn those attacks, and we sympathize with the government and the nation of Iraq. You all know that terrorists have targeted national unity and peaceful coexistence in Iraq. The people of Iraq, we call them to be vigilant and maintain their national unity. The threat of extremism, we've always warned about it. Unfortunately, terrorists and terror groups are following their illegitimate political designs. They're being supported by a number of countries, and they're still receiving their backing. These countries need to be accountable for their own deeds. So once again, would like to warn that the threat of extremism in the region does not limit to a certain country. This is a threat. This is a menace that threatens the international community. That's why the international community needs to think of urgent and collective solutions to tackle this, and this is a must. Well, there's another point. If I just mention another point, then you can raise your questions afterward. Well, on Thursday, in order to take part in the 16th meeting, the ministerial meeting of the D8, Dr. Zarif will be heading for Islamabad, Pakistan. This is the 16th ministerial DA meeting presided over by Pakistan that will be heading until 2014. During this trip, Dr. Zarif, in addition to meetings and talks with ranking Pakistani officials, will also have meetings with his counterparts who are taking part. Well, the D8 is a regional and actually extra-regional Islamic country that aims to strengthen and boost economic relations in the Islamic world, and also seeks a more effective presence of Islamic countries in the world economy. That's the field it's active in. Hopefully, in the capacity of this regional organization in regional developments in the economy and the interaction between the Islamic world economy and that of the international community, will be seeing more fruitful results. Let's begin with the end. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I wanted to ask you, there has been this telephone contact between Mr. Zarif and Mr. John Kerry. What did they talk about? Because there are a lot of different kind of readings in different media. If you could possibly tell us about what they talked about in that phone conversation. First, respected media, they expect to have all the details. Well, this is the expectation that's natural and intrinsic of your profession that we respect. Well, there was this news that was out, and you also pay attention to our realm of activities, and you know that not everything can be published and publicized. This telephone conversation was related to the developments regarding the developments that we just faced last week regarding the joint action plan. There was this telephone conversation between the U.S. Secretary of State and our foreign minister. During that conversation, Iran's dissatisfaction with the process of the expert work and the details regarding the implementation of the joint action, which just expressed dissatisfaction in that phone conversation. Well, he also had conversations with Ms. Ashton, but the conversations and contexts are part of the routine procedure in order to maintain the negotiations and other the matter of actually conducting joint action. These are natural conversation within that context. Greetings. I got two questions for you. A visit between Mr. Al-Arshi and Ms. Ashton, if you could tell us about the details of that visit and what's on the agenda. And I want to also ask you, after America attacked Iraq and then the Iraqi government was changed, it looks like the POWs were exchanged between Iran and Iraq, but there are still a number of families who have not heard of their children. Even some bodies have been received from the relevant organization, but they were not identified as their children. Does the Foreign Ministry plan to pursue to seek the identity of those people, missing people? Dr. Rakshi will be meeting Ms. Ashton today. He has had some conversation with Ms. Ashton's deputy also. This is within the expert work related to the process of joint action. The sides will be reviewing the latest situation regarding the resumption of negotiations and the next round of talks at higher levels. Well, when the meeting is conducted, then we'll definitely give you more information about it. Now, as for the second question, this has always been paid attention to by the Foreign Ministry and all domestic organizations in charge, and the consultations we have had with Iraqi officials constantly. This is on the agenda that negotiations are going on, details are being discussed. Well, we have had some results, some identifications have been made, some areas was needed, some groups needed to go there and to check the remains of the martyrs. There were some groups that were dispatched to certain areas and at the expert level also to clarify the situation of the remaining unidentified people and those missing in action, or any information that would help both the families to have some kind of relief, and also to deal with this case and to be able to answer all the questions and clarify the situation. So we are pursuing things, yes, with is on the agenda, and we're pursuing this, and hopefully these existing concerns that are really natural and understandable, hopefully those concerns will come to an end, and God will reward the families of martyrs, definitely. Well, there's a question as to the fact that given the telephone conversation between Mr. Zarif and Mr. Kerry, and also the meetings going to take place between Ms. Ashton and Mr. Rakshi today, so there is this planning to have negotiations to resume. So if there is such a plan at this level or higher levels, if any time is, if the timing is clarified, if you could tell us about that. Also, Mr. Sheikh al-Islam has said that for Geneva 2 talks, Iran has been invited. Can you tell us if Iran has been invited? And if I can ask you one more question regarding the kidnapping and killing of Iranian nationals in Afghanistan recently. This has escalated, and an Iranian national who was kidnapped is said to be killed. Well, the Foreign Ministry, what will it do or has done regarding this? Now, as for resumption of the talks, well, you mentioned that there have been contacts and exchanges of views by the sides, well, at 2 sides, regarding the implementation of the joint action. This is what we are paying attention to and focusing now. And during the talks today and consultations that Dr. Zarif has said, they're all within the same context as to see around the schedule and timetable in the future that needs to be clarified. Hopefully, expert-level meetings will resume in the near future in the process of talks, nuclear talks, and also talks between Iran and the P5+1. These conversations and contacts are natural and part of the process, and the media should know that anything related to the various aspects, we have come to this stage. So we need to have this constant consultations in order to maintain this situation. So hopefully the expert meetings they will resume as soon as possible, and subsequently we may come up with a new schedule for talks to be held at a higher level to be agreed by the 2 sides. Now, regarding our nationals in Afghanistan, the kidnapping of one of them, the killing, unfortunately, We have also received the news, the issue of the two sides nationals. Of course, the Afghan nationals' problems compared to their big population and the illegal crossing over the Iranian borders is an issue that is being paid more attention to. In some cases, there have been some issues regarding Iranian nationals. Well, the Foreign Ministry and its consular arena, especially in the relevant organization regarding Iranian nationals, we deal with all these issues, and also we provide them consular access and see what their situation is like. In some cases, we are witness to the fact that we would see some incidents like this. So we have asked the Afghan government to extend the most support it can to provide security on border areas and also to provide some assistance that's required to be granted by the other side. So hopefully in the future we'll not be witnessing a recurrence of such mishaps. Well, relevant organizations on both sides, both in the Islamic Republic of Iran and Afghanistan, are sensitive regarding such issues, and we hope that given the better incidents that have happened, the measures will be taken more seriously. And you also asked about the Geneva II meeting. You said that Mr. Sheikh al-Islam has made some comments. Well, based on the news that we have received, the countries have not been extended invitations to. Yesterday, this news was out that the Secretary General of the United Nations has said that they may start extending invitations. So far, no country has been invited. The Islamic Republic of Iran has always said that it is prepared to help resolve the Syrian crisis. If we are offered an invitation, we will participate in order to help bring security and resolve the Syrian issues within any political framework, anything that needs to be, any action needs to be taken. So we should stress that Iran's presence in any international forum, well, we do not accept any preconditions to take part. Good morning. Last night, there was this EU ministerial meeting that issued a statement and said that part of the Iran sanctions will be removed, but this was conditional to the ratification of the IAEA regarding the suspension of the 20% enrichment. I want to know what is meant by part of sanctions. Is it the whole sanctions and that was mentioned, the joint action? The other question relates to the explosions against Iranian nationals. There was this explosion in Beirut. There was an attack against the Iranian embassy, and afterward there was this attack against Iranian technicians and workers. Is there any kind of relationship between these incidents? Now, your second question first. Well, if there's any relation, well, the spirit of terrorism, it's all interlinked across the world, because terrorism is an action that is out of logic. It's illogical. If you want to now find any links between this and that region, maybe this is not directly related, but we are concerned about terrorism. That's what we have announced. And generally, we have said that terrorism cannot be restricted to one country or one certain region. So the whole international community needs to deal with this issue regarding as an international and global dilemma. So they need to take serious action. So in anywhere where terrorism is, it should be condemned, and this is our stance that we have announced generally, and we have announced our opposition. And also, we have stressed the need for some collective work on the part of the international community to deal with terrorism. And the countries that back terrorism, they need to know that the nature of this anti-human phenomenon is not limited, won't stay limited to one certain point, that it is a menace for the whole international community. It threatens everyone. Now, regarding the European Union, well, we have also seen the text. It's been mentioned that sanctions that were in the joint